The Constitution says that Congress has the power to declare war. The president, as commander-in-chief, is subject to that power. Congress has not declared war in almost 2 decades, yet presidents have sent troops overseas repeatedly. That is why, on Thursday, the House voted to repeal the 2002 authorization for the use of military force in Iraq. Yep, 2002. It was approved almost 2 decades ago. Since then, Presidents Bush, Obama, and Trump have used it to justify a range of military actions. Critics say this authorization, which is also called an AUMF, has been abused, invoked for things it was never intended for, letting the president exert powers the Constitution does not give him. So what about President Biden? Well, the White House says the president supports this repeal. That might be because there's another AUMF from 2001. Congress passed that one after the 9/11 terror attacks. Congresswoman Barbara Lee of California was the only person in Congress to vote no on the 2001 AUMF. She's been consistently campaigning to repeal them both. Her district includes Oakland and Berkeley, and she joins us now. Congresswoman Lee, good evening. Welcome.
Nice to be with you. Thank you, Joshua.
Let's go back to 2001. Here is part of what you said at the time when you tried to get more members to vote against that AUMF. Watch.
September 11th changed the world. Our deepest fears now haunt us. Yet I am convinced that military action will not prevent further acts of international terrorism against the United States. However difficult this vote may be, some of us must urge the use of restraint. Our country is in a state of mourning. Some of us must say, let's step back for a moment. Let's just pause just for a minute and think through the implications of our actions today so that this does not spiral out of control.
Congresswoman, how do you reflect on that today, particularly because with our military efforts, we have not had another international act of terrorism. We've had some significant advances, including the mission to capture and kill Osama bin Laden. How do you reflect on your remarks today?
Sure. Thank you, Joshua, for that question. First of all, that authorization was a 60-word blank check, quite frankly. It was 60 words that gave any president the authorization to use force forever. It did not specify a place, it did not specify a time frame, it did not specify the mission. And of course, this was 3 days after the horrific attacks of 9/11. My concern then, as continues to be, is that when we give any president unlimited power without coming to Congress, those authorizations will be used in ways that they were not intended to use. And the 2001 authorization was just that. That's why I think it should be repealed. And when the president wants to use force, the president is obligated by the Constitution to come to Congress to seek it.
I think your use of the phrase blank check speaks to why 49 Republicans sided with the Democrats in voting for the repeal of the 2002 AUMF. You warned at the time about this spiraling out of control. Do you think there was a turning point for the Republicans who voted for the repeal where their support shifted to getting rid of this AUMF?
Joshua, this was the 2002 authorization, which was authorized in 2002 based on lies. It was based on the notion that we were told that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. Well, we know there were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. And so this authorization has been used over and over and over again for military actions that had nothing to do with weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. And today, serving in Congress, there are only 58 members who were serving in 2001 and 2002. That's over 83% of Congress. We're not present during that period. So it's time to repeal that. The president said if he needs military action, he will come to Congress. We will work with him to try to craft authorization that provides for what the president needs and provides for Congress to exercise its constitutional duty to authorize or not authorize the use of force.
Why do you think this happened? I mean, Barack Obama was a constitutional law professor before he became president. He knows what Articles 1 and 2 say good and well, and even he used this AUMF in ways that I think critics would argue are beyond the scope of what it was intended for. Why were presidents able to get away with doing this for so long?
Most presidents do if the Congress gives them that authorization. I was definitely a vocal opponent of any effort by President Obama, respectfully, to not allow him to use the current existing authorization. Congress oftentimes is missing in action, Joshua, missing in action on the hard decisions that the people elect us to make. And so I think what has happened over time is that we've just abdicated our responsibility. And of course, any president is going to take advantage of that and say, well, you know, I want to use force here, I want to use force there. The reasons are this, that, or the other. And so what we're trying to do now is rein in executive power and make sure that Congress does its job.
Before I let you go, I wonder what you think AUMFs are going to look like in the future. You know, the way that war is being waged and the way that nations attack one another is evolving, including cyber attacks, which President Biden talked to Vladimir Putin about in their summit this week in Geneva. We now have a space force, and there are indeed space-based weapons that are being developed by nations including China. Bashar al-Assad still has chemical weapons. He gassed children once. Who knows if he won't do it again? With the changing nature of warfare, cyber attacks, space-based weapons, and Lord knows what else. What is your sense, Congresswoman, of how Congress should use AUMFs when the way we deploy our military isn't clear to us now for the threats of the future?
Sure, Joshua, thank you for that question. You know, asymmetrical warfare is the new way, and you just described the ways that war is now engaged in. And that's exactly why we need to have an authorization to use military force based on when, in fact, the use of force, and that's what it is, the use of our military power is sought by the president. And so we're in the process now of talking through and talking to our national security advisors to see exactly what future AUMF would mean in terms of the current military actions, no matter where they may be. But I tell you, asymmetrical warfare is something that we have got to understand and have to figure out, because if it's not the use of force, military force, then we have to determine what role the Congress has in making sure that the three branches of government and that the executive branch does not abuse their power.
Last 10 seconds, do you think the 2001 AUMF will also get repealed, or is that a different kind of fight?
Well, we're working on that right now as we speak, Joshua. We have many members of Congress who I'm working with. I want to recognize our chairman, Gregory Meeks, chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee. We put together a team of individuals, broad spectrum of political ideology and viewpoints. We're trying to do this. I have the authorization to repeal the 2001 resolution in place and gives the president 8 months. Mind you, it'll stay in place, gives the president 8 months to come back to Congress to bring forth a new authorization if, in fact, he thinks that's necessary. So this is something we're working on as we speak.
Congresswoman Barbara Lee of California, good to see you. Thank you very much. Coming up, remember the summer of protest after George Floyd's murder? In Portland, Oregon, that summer never really ended. We'll catch up on what's going on now that the police department's crowd control unit has quit. And we'll get some more of your Juneteenth stories. Check out this one from Gail, Amani, and Kaylani. They spent the holiday volunteering at the Pearl Street Food Pantry in Framingham, Massachusetts. That's west of Boston. They wrote, "It is important to know our history and our legacy, which supports and propels our future endeavors. Vote, vote."